Can't. We'll do it live. Okay. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Time to rise and grind.
Are you kidding me? Holy smoke!
And let's get this banter going.
It's bacon!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?
And it begins now.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell.
I think I just broke my chair. He did what?
Has anybody ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem?
There's but one course for me to follow. Almighty the bum!
Here we go.
Oh, yeah!
Here's the 1-2 delivery. Swing a line drive right field. That's a base hit toward the line. Rendon being waved in. Peterson throws it in toward the plate, and it is not in time. Rendon scores standing on an RBI single for Juan Soto. The Nationals are on the board here in Game 5. Juan Soto drives in his third run of the division series. It's now Los Angeles 3 and the Nationals 1.
Kershaw's 1-0 to Rendon. Swung on, hit of the air to deep left center field. Taylor going back. Warning track at the wall. He leaps. It is gone. Goodbye. Bang. Zoom goes Rendon on the second pitch from Clayton Kershaw. And this is now a one-run game here in the top of the 8th inning. Rendon with his first home run of the series and the postseason. He drives in his 5th run of this series. It's now the Dodgers 3 and the Nationals 2 with nobody out here at the top of the 8th inning. Here's the pitch. He swings, belts one to deep right center field. Way back, going, and gone. Goodbye. Halfway up the pavilion. A tremendous game. Tying home run by Juan Soto.
Kelly's one-strike pitch. Swinging a fly ball, field deep. Bellinger going back to the warning track, to the wall. It's a grand slam. Howie Kendrick has done it. They're going crazy in the Nationals dugout. Howie Kendrick with a grand slam here in the 10th inning of Game 5. The Nationals 7, the Dodgers 3. Do you believe it?
Nuts! Let's go! This was redemptive, insane, terrific. I was a little bit scared for a while, but oh, what an ending.
Coleman back. Garoppolo in the shotgun as Coleman to his side right. They're going to gun run it to him coming left. Stiff arm on John Johnson. Coleman dives for the end zone. Touchdown!
I was a little bit scared for a while.
Well, I was a little bit scared too, but let's get this party going. Good morning. Whoops. Faulty microphone. Sorry about that. Welcome to the Manic Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning, coming to you live from McDonald's in Henderson, North Carolina. I'm glad to call Carolina home. We're presented in part by SDW Virtual Executive Assistant, handling your business your way. And by IBMC Lending. Want to start a business? Want to get a home? Just need some money to get you by? I'm sorry about all that noise, folks. IBMC Lending is the way to go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Monday edition of Snowman in the Morning. Lots to get into. The Astros and the Yankees, that series is tied at 1 game apiece. The 49ers are 5-0. The Panthers have won 5 in a row with their win yesterday in London. The Atlanta Falcons are done. The New York Jets won? What? The Jets won a game? Can you believe that? The Jets actually won a game. And on top of that, they beat the paper champions in the Dallas Cowboys. And I told y'all at the top of the season that the Dallas Cowboys weren't going to amount to anything. The reason being, they don't have a stable offense. Yesterday proved it. They didn't get any significant points until the fourth quarter, and then when they needed the 2 points the most to tie the game, they got stuffed at the goal line. That's where I will begin this morning. I was kind of wondering where I was gonna start this morning.
6.
But let me start with the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, we got a ton of baseball to get to. The Nationals up 2-0 on the St. Louis Cardinals. Do you believe that? As Dave Jagler said during Howie Kendrick's home run on the clips that you heard, all the clips that you did hear during the opening, most of them courtesy of the Washington Nationals radio network. Dave Jagler, Charlie Slows, one of my favorite baseball announce teams. I'm going to try to get Antoine Smitty Smith of Smitty Sports Machine to try to tell me what in the world's happening to the Atlanta Falcons. But let's begin with the Cowboys, shall we? The Dallas Cowboys have lost 3 in a row after winning 3 in a row. I feel like the great Stephen A. Smith in Laughing at the Cowboys' Pain. Now, I will have all kind of respect for the Cowboys of the 90s because they gave my 49ers a lot of hell for 10 years, okay? I always will have respect for them. In fact, one of my favorite Cowboys on that team was a fellow by the name of Darryl Johnston. The masses know him as the Moose. But they're trying to build this Cowboy team in the fashion of the triplets of the 90s. And who are the triplets on this team? Supposedly, Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper came to them in a trade last year. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be Ezekiel Elliott. He's the best running back in the game. I never thought I'd say those words, but the facts bear that out. He's been the leading rusher in the NFL 2 of the last 3 years. All right? You can't argue with that. I won't argue with that. My question lies with Dak Prescott. There were rumors going around that after Ezekiel Elliott signed his big deal, which isn't much of a big deal, $90 million for the best running back in the game. We'll get into that later. $90 million for the best running back. Okay, we'll get into that later. How are you going to tell me Dak Prescott is worthy of $30 million a year when he hasn't proven a doggone thing? He hasn't, okay? I hate to inform you Cowboy fans of this, but listen to me carefully. Dak Prescott is not your quarterback of the future, period. Until I see, well, I said on a Facebook post, win something in January, and then we'll talk. And a fan got back to me and said, well, that's what we did. We beat the Seahawks. Okay, that's true, but that's a wild card game. You got blasted in the divisional playoff against the Rams. So until Dak Prescott, and I say this of all quarterbacks that, are so overhyped, minus Patrick Mahomes, okay? Minus Patrick Mahomes. I love what Patrick Mahomes is doing and what that team is building into, but Andy Reid's going to be the death of them. I'll get back to that later. But Dak Prescott is not the answer at quarterback. What's going to happen, I don't want to wish a significant injury, and I won't, but it's an inconsistent play. He couldn't keep up with Sam Darnold of all quarterbacks. Sam Darnold. Okay? But Sam Darnold. And that Cowboy offense couldn't keep up with the Jets. Big problem there, folks. Big problem. And now you have a Cowboys team that's 3-3 that can't get out of their own way. That's about how I can say. That's about the only way I can say it. And now many people pick the Cowboys to win the NFC East, and after a 3-3 start, I hate to inform y'all of this, but that 3-3 start has put the paper division champions in peril. Philadelphia's getting their act together, even though they lost yesterday. The New York Giants are busy getting it together, even though they lost on Thursday to the defending world champion New England Patriots. Why won't the Cowboys take control of this division? They backed into the division title last year. And I'm going to say a very blasphemous statement, but people in Cowboy Nation won't like it, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Cowboys won the division last year in spite of Dak Prescott, not because of him. They won that division because of Ezekiel Elliott and his exploits. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say something that's truthful but also a little angering? Ezekiel Elliott is the reason the Cowboys won the division. Not Dak Prescott, not Amari Cooper. But they didn't get Amari Cooper till late. All right? They did not get Amari Cooper until late. So unless Dak Prescott actually becomes a quarterback and takes a couple of chances, he's not worth the $30 million that the Cowboys are planning to pay him. See, here's what I think it's going to happen to Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. You already paid Ezekiel Elliott, so you're locked into that contract. They're going to lock Dak Prescott into a long-term contract. And just like Bryce Harper, when he locked into a contract with the Phillies, he's going to regress. I said it, and I'll say it again. Dak Prescott is going to continue to regress until he really takes control of that offense. And I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. You know how it's going to be you know how I knew it was going to be a bad day for the Dallas Cowboys? When they got stuffed in the second quarter on 4th and goal, or 4th and 1, I beg your pardon. Being told 4th and 2. I'm sorry. I thought I took some bad notes for the show this morning, so forgive me well in advance. I took some bad notes. But on 4th and 2, the Cowboys got stuffed. They get the ball. The Jets get the ball at the 8-yard line. Now remember, this is Sam Darnold's first game back from after battling mononucleosis. This is his first game back after battling mononucleosis. Okay? Which kept him out several games. Well, if you have to point, and I'm trying to find that clip now, if you have to, I don't know if this is going to be the Spanish version of this call, but this is from WEPN. I'm going to take a look. I'm going to take a listen. And if I don't hear Bob Wischusen's voice. Yep.
Darnold, play action, drops the throw, steps up, floats a bomb up the right seam, looking for Anderson. He's got it at the 50, at the 40. They're not going to catch him. He's going to go the distance. 10, 5, touchdown. Sam Darnold dials it up to Robbie Anderson. 92 yards.
Bob Wischusen, the legendary Bob Wischusen, on the call of that game as the Jets won 24-22. And wouldn't you know it, they came up with the stop in the final seconds. They came up with the stop in the final seconds. That made it 14-3 at that point, but then they just decided before the half, let's get some more.
Arnold in the shotgun. Takes the snap, looks right, pops one right, caught at the goal line by Griffin. Reaches it across the goal line. He's in for a Jet touchdown. Ryan Griffin with his first touchdown as a Jet.
Ryan Griffin with his first touchdown catch as a Jet. It's mostly all about football this morning, and I believe I have the sports judge on with me from Los Angeles. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Brian the Snowman? What's going on this morning?
I have a question for you, and it goes like this. What happened to the Rams yesterday?
Man, the Rams, you know what? It's turning out to look like a crisis, to be honest with you. You know, the season started off great. They got off to a fast start. They were 3-0. You know, it looked like they was just going to run away with the division, even though the 49ers were right there, you know, with them, hanging with them. And then all of a sudden, the Rams spiraled out of control. The season just went downhill. And it has, you know, taking a turn for the worse. It looks terrible. What a crazy turn of events for a team that had high expectations coming in.
Yeah.
And you know what's going on with the Rams? I'm going to be frank and tell you what exactly is the problem.
Go for it.
It is the offensive line. And, of course, the quarterback takes most of the blame whenever something goes wrong offensively. Jared Goff is being harassed. He has been abused by the front seven of anyone's defense because he has no offensive line to protect him. Those guys look out. When I watched that game today, they looked like they were scared to block for, you know, Jared Goff. So he has no time to get a throw off, you know, because he is running for his life out there. It must be miserable as hell to try to, you know, run for your life and avoid every tackle that's, you know, that could be coming your way. It just looks horrible for the Rams.
And here's the biggest problem for the Rams. They got stopped not once, not twice, but 3 times on 4th and short. 2 of those came in the 4th period. When you would think they would get enough of a push on a 4th and 1 or a 4th and 2. The last one was a 4th and 2. And the 49er defense, and I know you hate me saying this, and I pick at you mercilessly about it. You got to get that 49er defense their due. They stood up yesterday even though they were playing shorthanded.
Well, the 49ers are out to prove to the world that they're a better football team than it states on paper. You look at them, and, you know, they have nothing to lose at this point. It's them against the world.
Yeah.
And they're playing with that mentality right now. And, you know, I got to tip my hats to them. They're a complete football team, at least right now. I mean, I know that Jimmy G is not, you know, considered a franchise quarterback, but what they're building around him is credible. They have a great running game. They have a stout defense. They've always had a great running game.
Yeah.
They've always had running backs who weren't big name players, but did enough to produce in big games. And that's what we're seeing from the 49ers. And, you know, they keep this up, they're going to win the division. And I'm afraid that they already have taken off with the division. Next week, they got the Washington Redskins. That's a game they should win. And if they win and if the Rams lose next week, the Rams are in a heap of trouble.
They're already in a heap of trouble because their offense only gained 139 yards yesterday. And they allowed the 49ers to gain 339.
Yes, and that is very concerning. And if you don't have a healthy Todd Gurley, good luck.
Very true. He's the sports judge, Jonathan Mathis, SoCal Sports Chronicle. Check him out. Check out his exploits. I love you, brother. Thanks for coming on this morning. I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, my brother. It was a pleasure as always.
All right. Thanks, man.
Hope to hear from you soon.
You will. Thank you. Now, let's continue our football talk. This is a fellow who's on the line on the IBMC hotline with me right now. He goes by the name of T. Murph on Twitter. This is Thomas Murphy, and he's going to talk a little football with the Snowman. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Brian. How you doing, boss?
I'm doing great, man. How about you?
I'm fantastic. You know, I had a nice weekend. Got to do all the things that the wife wants to do on a Sunday since the Patriots weren't playing.
Right.
I got to play it off. No, honey, let's go antiquing. Why not? You know. Sure, no problem. You got a bake sale? Yeah, I'll be there. I'll donate a half hour. I'll give up my Patriots Sunday for you, sweetie. It's a good time. I'm okay then. How's things in Chicago?
Oh man, things are great. You know, I've since moved to North Carolina. My wife and I are down.
Oh, I apologize.
That's all right. That's all right. See, people identify with me with my hometown of Chicago.
Yep.
But what a lot of people who come on don't realize, my original team is the 49ers. And guess what?
No kidding.
Just like your team, we're undefeated, buddy.
There you go. There you go. Little Jimmy G love thrown out there, man. He was a great game yesterday. It's fantastic.
And what people are going to sell short about this 49er team, the way they came together. The Rams scored the first 7 points of the game. The Niners got the last 20. And what's scary about this 49er team, they can get better.
They can. The chemistry is fantastic out there, and they're a bunch of guys with a single-minded goal, and who believe in their coach and believe in their quarterback and believe in themselves. And they know if they stay on page that there are some good things that are about to happen. There are a lot of people around here that are talking about a San Francisco, New England Super Bowl. And quite frankly, I think the way the Niners are playing right now, they have a better chance of being in Miami on February 2nd than the Patriots might.
Here's what I'll say it again. What's scary about the 49ers is the fact that they can get better. Jimmy Garoppolo can get better. He's only started 15 games, okay? And his legend is beginning to grow. He had 2 silly turnovers yesterday. He threw a bad pass that turned into a pick, and he had a fumble that was returned, but the 49ers defense stuffed the Rams. I shudder to think.
When you reach his age, that cliff is right there, and those are the mistakes of youth. You really can't do anything about a strip sack, and
Nope.
A young quarterback, no matter what publicity we're all reading about him coming into it, needs to grow into a position.
Yeah.
Jimmy had the opportunity to do that here in New England. The setback last year with his knee, it was a little stifling in his growth, but give it time. And believe me, this is a kid that has all the talent in the world that you could, that knows how to run any offense in the world since he was, running the scout team here for essentially 2 years and doing a fantastic job of it. And what that does is it allows him to see through the minds of other head coaches and other offensive coordinators. You folks out there in San Francisco really got to steal here. I'm sorry. I'm usually the interviewer, so I tend to ramble on. I apologize.
It's all right, man. Look, that's what we all do in this industry, man. It's what we all do. What people don't realize about Garoppolo, and you just brought this up, you just touched on this, he was coveted for 2 years. He was coveted for 2 years, and the 49ers gave the perfect deal to get him. They got their franchise quarterback. He's got to grow into that role. But the person I want to talk about on offense is Matt Breida.
Why not?
They stole him in the draft out of Georgia Southern. Last week, 100-plus yards. He had 45 yards this week against a good Ram defense. But as they call him in Frisco, Breida the Cheetah is going to get loose.
There you go. I call him the bowling ball because, once he gets moving, he's like a little juggernaut. He just does not stop. He's fantastic talent. A great job done out there by your scouting department to pull him where they did. And put him in a position to succeed, which is really the essence of creating a good culture and a winning foundation and one that you can build on, is putting these young ball players in a position where they can succeed. So many times you see, draft picks get thrust into a role, and because of where they were drafted or where they came from, fans expect them to be all world coming out of the box. Now, this isn't the case with Breida because of where he was drafted.
Right.
But with a lot of other ball players, it isn't. And what you folks are doing out there is very smart. You're bringing ball players along. You're putting them in a position where they aren't going to make that screw up, and the fans aren't going to be getting on them. It's a fine run organization, and I'm glad to see them back on top where they are right now.
I'm glad to see it also. It's been a while for the 49ers, but they're getting it together. That defense is as stout as ever. That front four is a monster.
It is, and it's fast. This is one of the fastest defenses I have ever seen.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been around a long time. I'm not 22 years old, folks. I'm in my 50s. So I've seen guys with speed, and this is speed kills. Like I said, they're building things the right way out there, and what they're doing is a step ahead of most of the other programs that are in the NFL right now. They're drafting guys to fit specific roles and being able to put them in so they're able to match up with just about anybody. And we saw that on this week against the Rams. A lot of people did not believe that they were going to be able to go in there and beat the Rams. I was one person that did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I took them in 14 different pigskin pick'em leagues, so, not a gambler, but I like to have some fun. And, yeah, I took them this week. I knew it was going to happen.
Yeah, I did, too. I didn't get a chance to do my live pigskin picks, but a couple of people asked me, about that game, and everybody thought the game would be in Kansas City, between Houston and Kansas City. No, it was a defensive match in Los Angeles, which the 49ers beat the Rams at their own game. They beat them with defense.
Yeah, and isn't it beautiful to watch defensive football again? It really is. These fantasy football scores that we're all hoping for, and these pinball machine football games. It's refreshing not to see that. It's refreshing to see 80s style smash mouth football on both sides of the ball. I'm really, really enjoying this. Around here, a lot of people are getting on Tom Brady because he's not throwing for 450 yards and 8 touchdowns. Well, I mean, Jesus, people, if you can't live with 300 yards and 3 scores, you don't like football, and I don't get it. But what is happening with the better teams around the league, with the Rams, with the Niners, the continued evolvement with the Patriots and how they're evolving back there on defense. It's really refreshing, and it's a blast to watch. It really is.
It's great to see. I'll go back to last week in the Bay when Cleveland was in town, and everybody was on the hype of Baker Mayfield, and the one thing I said on my show was watch that 49er defense. You want to talk about a swarm tactic? Baker Mayfield had nowhere to run all night.
He had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, no clue what to do.
None.
It was a fantastic job that they did out there. They schemed it up perfectly. And I'm just waiting. I think we're just 2 weeks away from OBJ and Baker's dozen to throw down on the sidelines because you just can't do this.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. There was so much hype about the Cleveland Browns coming into this season. A mutual friend of ours, Mike DeBate, was on my show, has been on my show, and he thought, and I did too, on paper that Cleveland was going to be the team to watch in the AFC North. But one, totally wrong about that, and two, in the AFC, people have asked me, who could veer the Patriots drive for 7 the wrong way. People think I'm crazy when I say this, but the team to watch is going to be the Indianapolis Colts.
There you go. The fantastic offense, great offensive line. They put together there's another quick defense for you. They have a good quarterback. They're not surrounding, and they're surrounding him with the right kind of talent.
Right.
People are really, really surprised about this. I am not. I am not at all. I'm not surprised at all about this. And the Colts are doing it, and once again, I hate to repeat myself, doing it in the right way, building an offense from the inside out, building their defense from the outside in, and it's fun to watch. People are saying that the rivalry between the Colts and the Patriots is now back on. I'd really like to see that because it wasn't much of one after the bad karma that they obtained in the entire Suck for Luck campaign that they did a few years ago. And that's what it is. How'd that work out for you, Indianapolis?
Well,
tanking is cheating, and I'm telling you.
And they're getting out of it now. They're building a great team with the right coach.
Right.
Frank Reich was a perfect fit for them, just as Kyle Shanahan is a perfect fit for San Francisco. And that Shanahan name should be very, very familiar to a lot of folks. You know who his dad is? Mike Shanahan. What did he do with the 49ers? Oh, just took them to one of the best seasons ever in a Super Bowl in 1994. He was their offensive coordinator. Yep. You want an offensive mind? You got one with Shanahan, but now they're surrounding him with a defensive mind. There's great defensive players, and just like Indianapolis, I love the way that you put this, and it's so true, building it the right way.
That's it, building it the right way, and that's the only way to do it and sustain it. You see, year after year, I did a piece a year ago when folks were complaining that the Patriots win because they're in the AFC East, as a lot of people call it, the AFC Easy, and it doesn't shake out that. It really doesn't shake out that way.
Right.
The winning percentages across the board are generally the same year in, year out. When you look at any division, first place, second place, third place, on down. And it's that way across the league, but what you see in other divisions is a complete flip flop of how things. You will get a good year of this team, a good year of that team, but then they tumble down to fourth in the standings the next year, because they don't do it in a sustained way. Anybody can get hot for a year, but when you do it for 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years is impossible. What we're seeing here in New England is never going to happen again anywhere, no matter how well you build the team.
True.
Because of the two people you have at the top of the pyramid. But what they're doing is just amazing, and I hope they keep going.
And I made this comparison with Mike Debate on the show. What the Patriots are doing now, Bill Walsh and the 49ers spearheaded that back in the 80s. Chuck Noll and the Steelers in the 70s. But I make the comparison to Bill Walsh because of the complex coach that he was. Bill Belichick was on Bill Parcells' coaching tree. He was the defensive coordinator when they took down the 49ers in 1990 at Candlestick Park in one of the greatest NFC championships I ever watched. This is coming from a 49er fan. Was I disappointed that the Giants beat the 49ers? Yes, but at the same time, Bill Parcells and Bill Walsh matched wits. You'll never get a matchup like that again, ever.
No. You won't. The coaches in the league just aren't like that. We're unfortunately, we live in a time where the coaches can't build up that kind of cachet.
Right.
If you don't succeed within the first 2 years, 3 years of a contract, I mean, we saw it in Arizona last year. We'll give you 16 games, and then we'll throw you out for this, you know, for some college gimmick coach, and we'll sit there and we're gonna, run pistol and do this and do that and the other thing. I mean, kudos to the Cardinals for winning yesterday, but what good is it?
But what good is that kind of offense?
No,
when you don't have the horses to run it.
Right.
Just ask the Dallas Cowboys.
Exactly. Just ask the beautiful.
Just ask the Dallas Cowboys.
Right.
They're so hyped on rebuilding the triplets. I mentioned this earlier in the show. Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and Amari Cooper trying to mirror Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin, and Emmitt Smith. Here's the problem. The last 3 games have shown this. No offensive line.
None. All the success that they'd had over the past few years came from running behind one of the best offensive lines that had ever been put together. Unfortunately, they didn't have the rest of the horses on the other side of the ball to do anything with it. Now the offensive line is banged up. They're having problems. They have to overpay Ezekiel Elliott when they should be spending money in other areas. It starts with the big fat guys up front. I can say this because I was one of the big fat guys up front. I played center my entire life.
How did Keith Jackson put it? The big uglies up front?
The big uglies up front. Thank you very much. I won that award 6 times in high school. It's only, you're only supposed to be there 4 years.
I love it.
But no, that's what's happening right now. They're letting go of the the pieces that make things work. It's nice to have the flash guys up there that get on the front page of USA Today, that are sitting there and they get you the first highlights of an ESPN block, but they're not the ones that win you a Super Bowl championship. They aren't the Julian Edelmans of the world.
Right. And go back to the Cowboys of the 90s. How did Emmitt Smith get all those yards in that 5-year run?
Mm-hmm.
That offensive line, they were so consistent. The Bears of 85, for 10 years, the Bears of the 80s, the 49ers of the 80s, the Cowboys of the 90s. What was the caveat that got them that success? The offensive line.
The offensive line. So, I want to thank you for asking me on, Bud. Unfortunately, I only had a few minutes to share with you today.
Oh, man. Great having you on.
You know, if there's, anything you want to know before I go.
Man, tell everybody where they can find you.
Oh, folks, you can follow me on Twitter. It's the only social media that I have, at TMurph207. And from there, you can read my work. You can listen to my podcasts and check out my shows. Thank you very much for the time, Brian. It is a real pleasure. A pleasure. I hope to return the favor with your podcast also, man. We will have to do that, man. We will have to do that. I'll talk to you soon, buddy.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate the time.
Take care.
I got so much more football to get into. Thank you to Thomas Murphy. Thank you to the sports judge, Jonathan Mathis, for coming on. I got a lot more football to get into. I'm scheduled to have Chris Dietz on for the second half of the show, but we'll see how that happens. Folks, don't forget, you can catch the podcast daily on iTunes, on Spotify, on Google Podcasts, and all of your favorite apps. The podcast will come to you 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on all of your favorite apps. You'll hear great segments from the show, like this interview I had with T. Murph and the interview I had with the sports judge. Take a break. When we come back, we got some more football to get into, and I'm going to hate to say this about a team that Friends and I expected to do something, but I'm going to go ahead and say it. The Cleveland Browns are in trouble. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Thanks a lot, Doc.
Next! Snowman in the Morning, brought to you in part by Game Day Guide, providing fans the travel necessities and ticket essentials to support their team while they play under the pressure of away games. Remember, there is no such thing as an away game with Game Day Guide. Visit them online at game-day-guide.com. Had some great responses here at McDonald's in Henderson, North Carolina, and thank you all for joining us. The home studio is being put together, so everything will be done that way pretty soon. And I got to thank my daughter for stepping up and lending me her microphone for the time being. But now here's a segment I haven't had in a while. It's called Third Down and Deets, and Chris Deets is on the hotline with me. Good morning, sir.
Hey, Snowman, how you doing?
Doing good. How are you, man?
Could be better, could be worse.
Let's go. What you got for me?
All right, so I got a question for you.
Talk to me.
As far as producing this segment, I got a good, a bad, and an ugly for you.
Uh-oh.
It all depends on which way you want to start. You want to start on a good foot, or you want to build up so that we end the segment feeling good about it.
Let's end the segment feeling good. Let's get the ugly out of the way first. What you got for me?
My ugly is Georgia sports. And it all started on Monday.
Yep.
With the Atlanta Braves couldn't get out of the first inning.
They got shellacked.
They
got shellacked.
Again, on my program, Fifth Down Sports Show, and on Trinity Gauntlet, we have claimed ever since the Alabama-Georgia fiasco.
Mm-hmm.
That's just Georgia being Georgia.
Yes.
I mean, we had the Alabama-Georgia. We had Atlanta in the Super Bowl. We had Georgia last year in the SEC Championship. They just find a way to lose.
Yeah.
The Braves couldn't even get to that point because they got stomped. They got curb stomped in the first inning. So,
is this?
They didn't even have a chance to blow it.
Is this going to be the state of Georgia sports for a while? Oh, it's been.
Well,
let me change that. Let me change that into a statement and a question.
That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning of a rough week.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
I'll give you that.
Then we get to one of the not so shocking things, but Georgia Tech loses to Duke. Not on the basketball court, on the football field.
On the football field, yes, indeed.
Oh man! And then Georgia Georgia doing Georgia things. They have a chance to kick a game-winning field goal.
Yep.
And they can't get lined up right.
And they blow
5-yard penalty. Now they can't kick the field goal. then they go to overtime, and the kick sails wide left.
Yep. And this is not the first time that Georgia has had their season ruined by South Carolina.
But the good news for Georgia, and I want to let everybody know, Georgia football fans, I know they're down in the dumps right now. Your season ain't over.
Right.
The season ain't over. You still got Florida. You still got, if you win against Florida, you got the SEC championship, so you're good.
I hope.
But losing to South Carolina is not going to help you.
No. That's the ugly. What's the bad you got for me?
Well, we didn't even get to the Falcons, who, in classic Georgia fashion, lose to Arizona because they tied the game up, right? They score to tie the game.
And they missed the extra point.
Wide right.
And they missed the extra point.
So it's even more ugly for Georgia. The Falcons couldn't even save them.
And the Atlanta Hawks haven't even started yet.
Exactly. So yeah, it's going to be bad in Georgia for a while.
I'll say it again, and the Atlanta Hawks haven't even started yet. All right, that's one. What's the second one you got for me?
Well, you mentioned it a little bit, earlier, and that the bad was the Dallas Cowboys. And
y'all lost to the Jets.
I gotta disagree with you on one aspect of this.
And that is?
And that is, we've seen it the last 2 games. Amari Cooper is the one that makes that offense go.
All right, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
And you can tell because you go back to the Green Bay game, they were carving up the Green Bay Packers until Amari Cooper slips and falls, ball hits him in the chest, and gets intercepted, and that was his downfall. That was when he started to get injured. He leaves the game in the first quarter, and they couldn't do a damn thing on offense in the first half. And they fell behind. Was entitled, Jason Garrett needs to be fired. This was 8 years ago.
Right.
Jason Garrett needs to leave now. And
Go for it.
But if you've seen what he's doing down in Arizona State, hire Herm Edwards now.
Herm Edwards.
Now.
Yeah.
Why Herm Edwards? Because the Cowboys don't have an offensive problem. They don't have a defensive problem. They have an Okay.
You really think that?
If they win on Sunday, they could win they'll be 3-0 in the division, and that's all you got to do to make the playoffs.
Point.
I didn't say they're going to be anything in the playoffs. I just said they're going to make the playoffs. If that's your goal, if that's your level, just make the playoffs and be relevant, then Jason Garrett's a great coach. If your goal is to go anywhere and do anything in the playoffs, no, he's not.
No. And he hasn't been for a while.
Yes.
And he hasn't been for a while. All right. So tell me what your good is.
All right. So the good. This is a sports show, right? Not just a football program.
Yeah. This is a sports show.
All right. On Saturday, the greatest athlete of all time,
Simone Biles,
staked her case. And I've had multiple arguments with people saying this because I have no problem saying it. Simone Biles is the greatest athlete I've ever seen in my entire life. On Saturday, she got another 3 medals in the World Championships, becoming the greatest gymnast, the most what do I want to say? She's got the most medals of any gymnast, male or female, of all time. She now holds the record for most medals in competition.
Wow.
And I was having an argument with a guy, and I'm not going to throw his name out, but I am going to call him out right now. I was having an argument on Facebook, and a guy said, "Oh, why is she so great?" And I said, "Have you seen her triple-double? To understand what that is, watch that and tell me it's not the greatest athletic feat you've ever seen." And the guy said to me, and I quote,
"Oh no,
I've seen Tony Hawk do a 900. When she does a 900, let me know." And I had to look back at him and be like,
"He did not. Come on."
And I had to look at him and be like, "Do you understand the word triple? That's what she did without a ramp or a board. She did 3 and 2 flips." I was like, dude, you can't go there. Not with her. You can't go there. Now, the other thing people want to go is they always want to tell me, well, Michael Phelps has the most Olympic medals and blah, blah, blah. Here's why Simone Biles is better than Michael Phelps. Okay? Michael Phelps won all of his swimming in the pool.
Yes.
Okay? What Simone Biles does is she does floor, balance beam, and apparatus. Okay? That's like Michael Phelps swimming in a straight line and winning the diving. Okay? Simone Biles is dominating every aspect of her sport. And she does it way better than everyone else in that sport. There isn't even close to competition. It's crazy. It's crazy how good she is.
It is crazy how good she is. That's the Deets, man. Chris Deets joining me. Good to have you back on, and B, should I get the opportunity on Wednesday, I want you on Wednesday. Because I think that'll be our day again. We had it set for Wednesday, then we moved it to Friday because of college football. All kinds of stuff going on. But I think let's lock down Wednesday being our day.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'll come back anytime, man.
All right. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Chris Deeds joining me. It's good to have him back on. I'm going to try to get Mike Debate on. So with that in mind, I'm going to pause for a break and say Snowman in the Morning is brought to you in part by, those cookies. Whether it is the peanut butter, the chocolate chip, or the red velvet cookie crumble, you won't believe that these cookies are gluten-free. I said that right. Gluten-free. Visit thetosecookies.com for more information. Catch the podcast on your favorite app every day beginning at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Pause for a break, and when we come back, got some more stuff, including the Yankees and the Astros are tied at 1 game apiece, and Carlos Correa did the darn thing again. What do he and Big Papi have in common? I'll tell you when you all get back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
Next!
Excellent.
What?
I think Christie's kicked open a can of worms. I love it, though. I love it. Let's get the honest sports chatter going, shall we? Man, oh man. Good to have y'all back. Snowman in the Morning in the midst of hour number 2. And I got some people that want to call in. If you want to call in, number you need is 812-742-9729. That's 812-742-9729. Well, there was a highlight I wanted to play, and there was something that happened last night. I'll do some more baseball tomorrow, I promise. Carlos Correa walked off last night against the New York Yankees in the 11th inning to tie that series at 1 game apiece. And the weird thing is, he's got 2 walk-off home runs, both against the New York Yankees. There's only one other player in Major League history that has that feat, 2 walk-off home runs against the New York Yankees. You know who that player is? The legendary David Ortiz, a.k.a. Big Papi. How about that? David Ortiz and Carlos Correa share that fact. 2 walk-off home runs, both against the Yankees. Of course, Correa did it 2 years ago, October the 13th, and then last night. Getting a few things together. Y'all may have seen me during the video feed build a page. I'm going to build a lot more. I'm going to build a lot more pages, so just bear with me. And on the screen you're looking at right now, there's a logo missing, and it could be yours. If you want to advertise with us, ring up 812-742-9729. That's 812-742-9729. That's how you can advertise with us. That's how you can become a subscriber. Can't talk this morning. That's how you can become a subscriber. All kinds of good stuff. And all the videos that you will see from here on out will be on the Snowman Unfiltered YouTube channel. That means Snowman in the Morning. That means Snowman Unfiltered. That also means my play-by-play broadcasts, because a good friend gave me the suggestion of housing everything on one channel. So that's what I'm going to do. The number you see on your screen is how you can become an advertiser with us for as low as $100 a month. You'll get unlimited audio. You'll get unlimited audio. For $100, you'll get unlimited audio commercial plays. And for a little more, I can't get Mike Debate on. Doggone it. Dadgummit. Well, Mike Debate's usually he joins me on Monday. But he's at a family event and won't be able to make it this morning. I'm in the process of rebuilding I'm not rebuilding the show. I'm building this show. So you're going to see some things. You're going to hear some things. We're going to add the video. When I go home here from McDonald's this morning, we're going to Dr. K and I, my beautiful wife, we're going to tear up the office and put it back together. Anyway, with that baseball fact out of the way, Game 3 of the National League Championship Series is tonight. It'll be at Nationals Park in a raucous Washington, D.C., and the Nationals have a chance to go up 3-0 on the St. Louis Cardinals when they throw Steven Strasburg at the Cardinals. And Strasburg on regular rest is going to be dangerous to that Cardinal lineup. And the last time these two teams faced each other was 2012. The Nats had a 6-1 lead in a clinching game, unable to hold it. They lost 9-7. Different Nationals team this time around. This is the Nationals team that had a lot to prove. And one game at a time, they're proving it. Strasburg is going to be a key for them to get to Game 4 to Corbin and possibly Game 5 to Max Scherzer. But the Nationals have 3 shots to win 2 games at home and clinch that series. Who would have thunk that the Washington Nationals would be in this situation? Who would have thunk it? I got to tell you, I certainly didn't. I did not think the Nationals would get here. I didn't think the Nats would get to the playoffs, even though I picked them to get to the playoffs. And here they are, halfway home to a National League pennant. Now they're playing the St. Louis Cardinals. They're playing the St. Louis Cardinals. One of the most veteran teams aside of the Yankees in the postseason. Oh boy. 3 shots for the Nationals to win 2 at home. Because the last thing that the Nats want to do is go back to St. Louis for games 6 and possibly 7. This is the time for the Washington Nationals to seize control. Well, they already have. They won the first 2 in St. Louis. Now, the Cardinals could get their act together and win the next 4 and clinch in St. Louis. That totally could happen. But if you're the Washington Nationals, you've got to take advantage of this situation now. Right now. Beginning tonight. As I said, 3 straight in the nation's capital. You only have to win 2 of them. It's the first to 4 that wins the National League pennant. And the Cardinals have done it before. They have come back time and time and time again. I know this. But if you're a baseball fan, you're pulling for the Washington Nationals to do the darn thing. And I got a caller. Who do I have on the line with me this morning?
Hello, hello. My name is Sharif Ahmed. I'm calling from Texas City, Texas, 40 miles south of Houston.
What's going on, my friend?
I just wanted to call in.
What's going on, my friend? How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for the call. I think you were just talking about the Astros.
Yep.
And of course, here in Houston, that's the big buzz.
Y'all were going crazy last night. I saw the walk-off this morning, and I heard the radio call with it, and it just seemed like Correa knew at the moment he swung the bat that it was leaving the yard and everybody was going home.
Yeah, and the thing is, I just recently moved here to the area, and the one thing I did notice here in the city of Houston is they love their Texans, they love their Rockets, and they love their Astros. And the Astros are not my favorite team, but I support the team because I live in the area.
Who's your team?
Oh, in MLB baseball?
Yes.
The Baltimore Orioles.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God you support thank God you support the Astros now. Okay. How long ago did you move to Houston?
Originally, I lived in Arizona for pretty much the bulk of my life.
Okay.
So I moved to Texas. So now I'm a big Astros fan. Well, not a big Astros fan, but I support the Houston teams.
Let's talk a little football. We got lots more to get into over the course of the week, but I want to hit the Dallas Cowboys again. I know Chris Dietz got you going. He got me going as well. That's why I love having him on. But I'm going to say a statement, and I think you'll agree with me. The Dallas Cowboys are finished.
I agree. And here's why. Here's why. And is Mr. Dietz a Cowboys fan?
Yes, he is.
Okay, let me just kind of, I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I'm just going to shed some light on the history of the Cowboys.
All right.
Jimmy Johnson started that train. Jimmy Johnson is the reason why the Cowboys were brought back to relevance.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we all know, he did the greatest trade heist in the history of professional sports to create that team.
Yeah, he did.
So then when Jimmy Johnson had left, Barry Switzer came along and basically just rode that gravy train for 2 years.
Yeah.
If Jimmy Johnson would have been there, the Cowboys could have won 5 straight Super Bowls, which would have been unheard of.
I'll give you that.
Jimmy Johnson's now gone. So then let's fast forward a little bit. When Bill Parcells was coaching there, Bill Parcells made it very clear that he did not want Terrell Owens on the team. Mm-hmm. What did Jerry Jones do? He brought in Terrell Owens. So then, that was the year that the Cowboys went 13-3. And they lost to the Giants in the divisional. I think it was in a divisional playoffs.
Yes.
And Wade Phillips was coaching that team. I've talked to old school Cowboy fans, and I told them this: if Parcells would have coached that season, it would have been the Cowboys in the Super Bowl versus the undefeated Patriots instead of the Giants. So now I call it the curse of the tuna, because Bill Parcells left because Jerry Jones did not listen to Parcells.
Mm-hmm.
Because he has to remember, the success of the Cowboys, Jimmy Johnson brought the success to the Cowboys.
Yeah, he did.
So basically now Jerry Jones basically took that away from Jimmy Johnson. And then now they haven't won jack squat since. Now, the one thing I do want to say is that there's a big game next Sunday night when Dallas plays Philly. That is going to determine that game is going to determine who's going to win the division.
I would think so. And I was pointing to that game that the Cowboys and Eagles would play. Tell me that's in Philadelphia, or is that in Texas?
Oh, I saw that through a feed. I totally forgot.
I want to say that's in Philly. We're going to find out.
Either way, that game is going to be huge.
It is, and I'm in agreement with you that it's in Texas.
Oh, that's fine.
It's in fine,
because here's what's going to happen later on during the season. Dallas is going to have to play in Philly in that nasty weather.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm really tired, and I'm just tired of everyone jumping on this Cowboy train. And Cowboy fans don't believe in reality.
No,
and I'm not saying this in joke. I'm not saying it in spite. It's just the truth.
And y'all get the Cowboys in Philly, and Eagles get the Cowboys in Philly 3 days before Christmas. So that will be a heck of a Christmas present for them to wrap up the division in Philadelphia against the Cowboys. They've done it a couple of times before at the Link.
It always comes down to those two.
So, who do you think, football-wise, has been the biggest surprise this year?
San Francisco.
And your reasoning for that?
Let me tell you something, Mr. Snowman. Let me tell you something. My wife is a diehard Niner fan, and she had to go through. She went through the post Harbaugh years.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought in John Lynch. He didn't know squat about being a GM. He brings in a very young coach in Shanahan.
Mm-hmm.
And this man has built a team around him.
That he has.
I saw the game yesterday. I thought they were going to lose, to be honest with you. But it didn't happen that way. The one thing that the 49ers have now is a defense.
Yes.
And the thing is that they have their defense is full of youngsters, and you have Sherman, who's the lone veteran, who's basically like the lead lion of that defense.
And they are.
And Sherman doesn't have to.
That defense is unbelievably fast.
And they're fast in two levels. Their front four is amazing. They're big, they're strong, and they get to the quarterback.
And they're young. They are
very young. And here's the scary part, too. The Niners have a little bit of cap room for next year as well.
Yes, they do.
So the Niners is the big surprise. The big surprise are the 49ers. And now, everybody talks bad about Garoppolo's numbers, but those numbers equate from the defense giving him a short field.
And they also equate from him only making 15 starts in the NFL. And
Yes,
also coming
and that's
back from a knee injury last year.
And the Patriots gift wrapped Garoppolo to the Niners.
Oh yeah, they did. And like I said earlier in the show, Garoppolo was coveted for 2 years by everybody. Everybody wanted Jimmy Garoppolo on their team.
Yeah, even Belichick wanted him to stay, but Garoppolo didn't want to stay as a backup. It's just the 49ers are a big surprise. But the thing is about that division in the West, it's a tricky division. You got the Rams, the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Cardinals. So, the Cardinals are a tough out. Those guys play hard over there.
They do.
They're going to be a tough out. And I'm really interested to see how the 49ers match up against them, because if they sleep on the Cardinals might get them.
Yeah, it's happened. It's historically happened in San Francisco over the years that they sleep on the Cardinals, and the Cardinals wind up getting them, especially in their game in the desert. Seattle poses a couple of matchup problems for the 49ers, but the big difference is, as you said earlier, my friend, that defense in San Francisco is hellacious. They're going to be ready for the Seahawks.
They are. Yes.
They are totally going to be ready for the Seahawks. Let's look at the NFC South.
Absolutely.
The surprise in the NFC South, especially lately, and given where I am, I have to mention them, but it's true, the Carolina Panthers.
Yes. Now here's going to be the issue. The issue in that situation is this. If the team continues to win, what do you do with Cam?
You ship him off. I'll answer that question right now. You get him out of there.
But
I think Cam Newton has played his last game in Carolina. And with the time that he has spent on the injured list, I'm just really inclined to think that Carolina should move on without Newton.
Here's the thing, though. I think he has this year and next year remaining on his contract, and he's carrying a $21, $22 million price tag on him.
Yeah. So the question then becomes, who would pick up that price tag?
I would say nobody, because if you look at the landscape of the league, every single team has their quarterback. Either they're starting now, or they drafted a quarterback and they're grooming that quarterback in. The only team I can think of that would need a quarterback would be Miami.
Yeah, and then this is a team that made the trade for Josh Rosen, but you still don't know how Rosen's going to turn out because he doesn't have enough starts under him, in my opinion.
Right. And also the thing about Miami, they have a lot of equity as well too. They have a lot of picks. They have a lot of cap room. They can move from Rosen, because Rosen only carries, I think, a $2-3 million price tag, which is nothing. So I do agree with you. Cam's days are done, especially if this kid continues to win. But if you're trying to move this guy, Cam, that's too hefty of a price tag.
Yeah.
I mean, look what happened with Brock Osweiler a couple years back.
True.
That was an ugly contract.
It was ugly. It absolutely was ugly. But again, the question becomes, and you and I just spoke about this a moment ago, who would take on that contract? I don't think anybody will.
No. But the one surprise, though, too, in the South, you got to give Teddy Bridgewater a little bit of props.
Oh, yeah. No one expected him to roll through this stretch without their captain and still be on top of the NFC South. I still think that division is New Orleans to lose, but Carolina has played themselves not only into the division race, but into the wild card race as well. For Carolina to really make a splash, they've got 2 games to win, both against New Orleans.
Right. But the thing about Teddy Bridgewater, and the ironic thing is that he re-signed with the Saints this past year. He could have gone out and made a little bit of more money. But I don't know. Was something said in the organization that this might be Breeze's last season? Who knows?
Well,
but
I'd rather have Bridgewater in the situation he is in New Orleans than the situation he was with the Jets. I'll take New Orleans over the Jets any day of the week, even though they did beat the Cowboys this past Sunday. But be that as it may, why would you leave?
Money.
Yeah.
It's money. And let me tell you this. Bridgewater is not a great quarterback, but he's one heck of a game manager, though.
And he's holding
That's the one thing coaches – yes.
And he's holding the fort until Breeze gets back from his injury. So you allow Breeze to heal. And New Orleans keeps winning, and then Breeze gets back, and by that time, the division just may be sewn up by then.
But here's another thing, though. There's the same situation in New Orleans. If Bridgewater goes through and wins all these games, what do you do with Breeze?
Well, Breeze is going to ride off into the sunset. I'll answer that question right now. Breeze is going to ride off into the sunset because Breeze is one of those franchise quarterbacks that not only energized the team but energized the city. So no matter what happens this year or next year or beyond, Breeze can ride off into the sunset in New Orleans and have no issue. None.
Ooh. I don't know, man. It's going to be a very interesting second half of the season.
It really is.
I can't wait.
I can't wait either. Sharif joining me to talk some football this morning. A little bit of baseball mixed in as well. Man, you got the number. Anytime I'm on, hit the hotline. I'd love to have you.
Thank you, sir.
I appreciate it. Thanks, buddy.
Take care. Thank you.
Y'all see the number? I've had some great guests on today. Want to be a part of it? Hit the hotline, 812-742-9729. And I'll tell you what. Chris Dietz is a little mad. Cowboys fans is on to talk about how those are media members that pretend to be Cowboy fans, not real Cowboy fans. You know what, Dietz? I'll give you that. I'll absolutely give you that. And I know you're a Cowboy fan, and I know I pick on you mercilessly, but you do have a point, and I'm going to expand on this right now. You do have a point with media members of certain high-profile teams that create a narrative of who's a real fan of their team and who isn't. Okay? Cleveland Browns, Dallas Cowboys, Los Angeles Lakers. Don't let me go there. But it's the truth, though. It's the truth of the media creating the narrative of who's a fan and who isn't. And that narrative is going to continue to be there for a while. So to the real fans of the teams that you follow, I applaud you for that. I absolutely applaud you for that. We got about 24 minutes before I have to get out of here. Yeah, let's have a little fun. I promise the next time I'm on, which is more than likely going to be Wednesday, because I got some running around to do tomorrow. But I'm looking forward to being back on Wednesday. And while I'm giving updates, there is a strong possibility, pending my upcoming work schedule, that this show will be flipped into the afternoon. And the reason it may be flipped into the afternoon, as I said, it's just to accommodate a work schedule. So what's going to happen is either this show is just going to go audio like I had planned to do, and I just never executed the plan to perfection, and I blame myself for that. I absolutely blame myself for that. But at the same time, I want to really bring the best out of myself, the people involved, including my beloved Dr. K, who's listening from home, all the folks who join in via Facebook or YouTube, and everything is going to be under Snowman Unfiltered. SNWMN Unfiltered. That's where all the video feeds will be. New episode of Snowman Unfiltered will come your way on Wednesday, and I hate the fact that I don't have any more notes here, but I apologize to you guys for that. But I want to tell you, Snowman in the Morning is brought to you in part by, those cookies, whether it is the peanut butter, the chocolate chip, or the red velvet cookie crumble. You won't believe that these cookies are gluten-free. Yeah, I said it. They are gluten-free. And y'all wouldn't believe it if you try it. Go to yeahthosecookies.com for more information. And while you want to visit a partner of ours, why don't you visit Game Day Guide, providing fans the travel essentials and travel necessities and ticket essentials to support their team under the pressure, while their teams play under the pressure of away games. Remember, there was no such thing as an away game with Game Day Guide. Visit them at game-day-guide.com. As I mention all the time, you can catch the podcast daily on your favorite app at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time is where you can catch the podcast on a daily basis, including iHeartRadio. And people didn't expect me to get to iHeartRadio, but I'm there every single day. Every single day you can catch a replay of this here program. And that's about all I got for you, folks. I want to thank my streaming partners. And that's one thing I didn't mention. I didn't put that in the open, and that's my fault for doing that. Arena Sportsnet, our flagship station, the Lake County Sports Network, Western Reserve Digital Radio, KSRN Arizona, and FullPressRadio.com. Man, I keep forgetting to mention my streaming partners. I will not forget that again. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Wait. We may not be done yet. Because now I got the man in charge of Cole Sports on the line. So let's have a little fun with me. Cole Johnson is on the hotline right now. What's going on, brother?
Everything is lovely, man. How about you?
Did I tell you that I love your podcast?
You said that you love our podcast. Yes, I've heard you say that. Now, I don't know if you love the most out, but yeah.
That's the reason I'm putting it out there. I absolutely love that podcast. See, look, this is what people don't understand about guys like you and me that do a podcast. We tell the truth, and that pisses them off.
Yeah. Yeah. And for people who think that, well, I have a bias, well, I'm a self-admitted Rockets fan.
Yeah.
So here it is, a Rockets fan talking ill about the general manager of the team that I love. There is no bias. If you're a good actor, I will talk good about you. If you're a bad actor, I'm gonna give you the side eye. I don't care if you're my team or if you're a rival. It doesn't matter.
It really doesn't. And it shouldn't matter, man. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter at all.
But it matters to for some crazy reason, it matters to a lot of people. And I don't understand why. I don't understand why.
I don't either.
Look, the way sports radio is, and I've said this on your show, the way sports radio is, it makes you want to give everybody the side eye. Everybody. Because, except on very, very few occasions, this being one of them, they're afraid to tell the truth about what's going on.
And in the case here of the NBA in China, it's as clear as the nose on our faces. I mean, how could you not tell How could you not tell that you're dealing with an entity and a company that's trying to cover its tracks and trying their best to not say, if we were to mess up our relationship with China that we have cultivated for almost 20 years. We stand to lose almost half of our profit for the year. How can you not see that and not say it? I mean, it's too clear. It's too clear of a point to not address.
And you know what's really funny about this? It's right there in their face, and they'll look right past it. They'll look right past it. And I don't understand why. Why are you looking past the fact that you have a situation where a league that has built a global entity is trying to cover its ass? Put it out there. It's the truth, man.
Plain and simple. Plain and simple.
You have a league that's trying to cover its ass, period. And you don't, people just don't get it. They don't understand it.
No. And it's funny, man. I mean, we've talked endlessly about how the NBA is the standard bearer of how a sports league is supposed to be because they stand up for principles, and they do, and they're forward thinking in the community, and they are.
Give you that, yes.
But you have to understand that at the end of the day, it's about what Wu-Tang Clan, the Clan said, cream.
Yes.
Cash rules everything around me. It's about getting that bag. And when you have not even an owner of a team, you have an executive of a team, mess up the bag the NBA is going to get.
And has gotten.
Mm-hmm. I mean, come on, man. How can you not say it in that way? I'm like, look. Like I said on the show, I'm all for freedom. I want people to be free.
Yes.
But you got to understand, if you are in a position where your personal views are going to be looked at best with a wincing eye in motion, and at worst being scolded. Because, hey, he's fortunate he's not fired. If you are in a position where you can't have your personal views said like that, you have to understand, okay, if this is a personal issue, this is how I personally feel. I can't really put that out there because I'm going to get backlash, and I might actually financially hurt the brand that I represent.
Yeah, unfortunately, Daryl Morey hasn't gotten that point.
No.
Daryl Morey has not. Hey. Daryl Morey hasn't gotten that point for a while.
And I laid it out there for you. It's like the guy thinks, well, his opinion matters, which, okay, fine. In certain circles it does, but you got a big-time lesson that, you mean to tell me I can't actually say this at certain junctures and times? I mean, because you now have the most populous nation in the world looking at you like you're crazy. I mean,
he is crazy. You know that. He's nuts. I mean,
so
you would think that he would get the message of, I can't say that on a global stage, especially given the fact that I can't even make my team better. We're not, look, I know people have told me all the time, and you've seen the arguments I've had on social media with people when it comes to the Rockets. I've been told so many times, you can't say that about the Rockets. My response is the same, and you've heard me say this. I don't have to. They keep proving my point. I don't have to say a darn thing.
No. No. You don't. You don't.
I don't have to say I don't have to say a thing. And I've been.
You don't.
You want to have some fun? How about this? I actually was posed this question when the Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, of which I'm a fan, were busy dueling it out in the Western Conference semifinals. Durant gets injured in Game 5, and the Rockets fan that ain't a realist, which I know you are. The Rockets fan that ain't a realist said to me, now what are the Warriors going to do? I said, we're going to go to Houston and put you out of your misery. Oh, but you don't have Kevin Durant. No, but there's a fella named Stephen Curry. There's a fella named Klay Thompson. There's a fella named Draymond Green who was their original core when they started winning. He called me at halftime saying, we just held your two-time MVP to 0 points in the first half. Yeah, but you got to do it another 24 minutes. And you know what happened in those 24 minutes. 33 points.
Yeah. I know what happened in that last 12. 23 of those in the fourth quarter. I mean, look. I'm an ardent fan of my team, but I call it like I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, because I've said this to you, I actually said, look, the Rockets ship has sunk after game one because I was livid. Absolutely livid. I'm like, man, look. So they play game one on my birthday. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna get a good gift of a good game. If the Rockets lose, cool. Just as long as they don't get blown out of the Oracle Arena building.
Right.
That's all I care about.
Right.
So they didn't get blown out. They had a chance to win. You can argue if Harden deserved to get a foul or not in the last shot. I don't care. They put forth a good effort.
Yep.
They came close to winning game one. They could have won it, or at least tied it, with the last possession in game one. I'm good with that.
Right.
But then they had the Rockets organization and some of the players had to ruin that by saying, the series that we played with the same team 11 months ago. Well, we think the referees robbed us of that game and also robbed us of the Larry O'Brien Trophy because of it. I'm like, no. I'm like, it's game, set, and match. This team is in your head. I mean, you're not even on the court.
They've been in their head for 5 years.
Well, you know the stat that I say about the Warriors and the Rockets. Maury saying, well, we have built our team to beat the Warriors. Okay, you've had 4 opportunities in 5 years to do so.
And you failed.
Show me the series where you've done it once.
And you failed each time. Each time you failed. You failed.
And not just failed spectacularly in different rounds. I mean, they got swept in, I think it was like 2016. I mean, they got swept in the first round there.
Mm-hmm.
They got put on a misery in 5 in 2015.
And that was the Western Conference Finals, folks.
2015, that's the Western Conference Finals. Got put out of misery in 5 in that series. Got swept in 2016 the first round. Had home court. No, I'm going to go back to that one. This year, they had an advantage of not having Durant on the court.
Yep.
They lose at 6. And not only do they lose at 6, the fact that their bench supposedly was stronger than the Warriors, they didn't show up and got outplayed. And a short-handed Warriors team beat the Rockets at full strength.
Beat the pants off of them. Mentally and physically.
Here's the funny thing about that, and we talked about this. The first 4 games and the 3 quarters of the 5th game, all of those quarters, the Warriors and the Rockets were tied in points.
Yes.
Now, you would think when Durant went down, I'm like, okay, well, this should be blood in the water. This should be blood in the water for the Rockets. They should be like sharks. They should take them out. What happens? They relax. They screw the pooch in the fourth quarter of Game 5, and then in Game 6, they decide in the second half, okay, we shut Curry down for a half. That's it. And they went fishing. They went fishing in the game. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
You know,
it's just that type of stuff right there that upsets me.
And the bad part is, and I will continue to say this, worse than 64-25 in Game 6 last year, worse than the sweep in 2016, worse than losing in the Western Conference Finals. The play that ended this rivalry was at the tail end of Game 5, scramble going on for the ball in the corner.
Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm going all the way there. James Harden is just watching.
What was he doing? What was he doing?
And as soon as James Harden played, look what I'm going to find, Klay Thompson did the correct thing.
Right.
And dove to the basket. And Kevon Looney found him.
And see, this flies in the ointment of when I hear Daryl Morey pop off of the mouth and saying, well, James Harden is better than Michael Jordan. I got the stats to prove it. That right there. I'm like, he takes games off. Forget plays. He takes games off on defense. And when you needed to have him get to a loose ball, what does he do? He just gawks at it on the floor.
Yep.
And lets the man that he's responsible just drive by him. And the next thing you know, the game is over. And I'm like, it's that mentality right there. And it infuriates me when I hear Morey say he has the team.
Yep.
And he doesn't have that team that could defeat the squad that I've said. The Warriors had to be looking at the Rockets and say, that's how we were in 2014. I mean, every time they play the Rockets, they got to be saying that. Because I would.
Absolutely. You would. We like I said, the play that ended this rivalry was at the end of Game 5. Harden was watching the ball instead of watching his man, who was Klay Thompson. Thompson took a look at Harden, who didn't even dive for the ball, by the way, folks.
That's like just looking at the ball. Right.
Kevon Looney was the – listen to this statement carefully. Kevon Looney was the only warrior on the floor going after the ball.
Yep.
I'll say it again. Kevon Looney was the only warrior going for the ball. You would think that James Harden, who wanted that game so badly, would dive on the floor, but instead Thompson was waiting for a pass. And when Kevon Looney secured the ball in a split second, Klay Thompson dove to the basket and Looney found him. Game, set, match.
And that typifies, to me, the difference between the Warriors and the Rockets. You got a guy, the best player on your team. You have him who wants to be about it. But then you have the Warriors with Curry, who is about it.
Yeah.
And they get caught up in the wrong things.
Yeah.
They get so caught up in the wrong things. Why isn't Harden MVP? Why did the refs screw us out of a championship?
Out of a championship, right.
I'm like, look, take care of the business on the court. I don't give a crap about an MVP. And then on top of it, Harden already has one. It would be different if he didn't have an MVP. He already has one. I'm like, forget the MVP. The Larry O'Brien Trophy is what you should be going after.
Should be, but they're not.
If you don't get the MVP, so be it.
You see the Warriors and the Raptors. You see the Warriors and the Raptors didn't care about who got the MVP. They're competing for the Rio Trophy, named after one Lawrence O'Brien.
Lawrence O'Brien.
They were competing. They're not competing for individual. This is what sets the Spurs, the Warriors, the Bulls of the 90s apart from today's Rockets. It goes like this. They're competing for the real hardware named after Lawrence O'Brien. Period.
That's what it is, right there.
They're competing for the World Championship. Okay? I can't call it the NBA Finals anymore. It lost its luster. They're competing in the World Championship Series, somewhere the Rockets haven't been since 1995. They're competing for the World Championship. I don't think they care. No, I know they don't care about who gets the most valuable player of the league, which is a regular season award. They're playing into June.
Say that again. Say that again. That is my point right there.
They're not
You're
competing
focused on the regular season.
Yep, they're not competing for an award that's awarded for regular season exploits. They're competing for the trophy that is awarded on Father's Day. And that's in June, folks. That's in June. The Lakers won't see one. The Rockets won't see one. The Clippers have a possibility. Give you that. The Portland Trailblazers, the Denver Nuggets. Give you that. Okay? But until the Rockets get the mentality of we don't care about individual awards, they're going to be right where they are.
That is right there. The point that I've been making about the Rockets. It's like they're caring about looking good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's wonderful that Harden has scored over 30 points a game last year. It's wonderful that in 2018 they won 65 games. It's great. It's great that they got the overall #1 seed last year. And I'm thinking, okay, all that is fine, and it could help you in your march toward what you're supposed to achieve and attain,
which is the World Championship.
But you have 4 opportunities, or if you actually play it right, you will have 4 opportunities to be 4 different teams 4 times in a series.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. That's the goal. Be 4 teams that you play in the playoffs 4 times. The first of 4 in all those 4 series.
Yep. Do it if you want the Warriors dynasty to end, and believe me, folks, it ain't over. If you want the Warriors dynasty to end, and we'll close with this, do what the Toronto Raptors did. Beat them 4 times in a playoff series. Did you hear the Warriors making any kind of excuses after they lost to Toronto? No. We got beat by a better team. Steve Kerr said it. Stephen Curry said it. Period. If you lose to the better team, so what? That was one hell of a World Championship series. Take that any day of the week.
Mhm. Yeah. And I have said this. Rockets fan here. I have said this. Back in 1986, the Rockets beat one of the teams they had no business beating, which would be the Lakers, in 5 games.
Yep.
They closed in the Forum, the Great Western Forum.
No, the Fabulous Forum.
They went on to play
the Great Western Forum.
Sorry,
it's the Fabulous Forum.
The Fabulous Forum. Thank you. The Fabulous Forum. Where the Lakers, I think, still should be playing.
Same here. And on a shot by Ralph Sampson.
Yes. On a shot by Ralph Sampson.
That made Dick Stockton go nuts. And I always love that call. I don't think I have Gene Peterson's call of that yet. I'll do my darndest to find it. Oh, right. Lordy.
Well, he went. I know this personally. He went ballistic.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I wouldn't either.
The same way Jim Durham and Johnny Kerr went ballistic 3 years later after the shot that beat the Cavs.
Mm-hmm.
Would you not expect them to go ballistic? I know Gene Peterson went nuts.
Right. So they go on to play, in my estimation, the greatest team I've ever seen in basketball play.
85-86 Celtics.
The Celtics beat them in 6. Mm-hmm. Even at the tender age of 13, I didn't expect them to actually win.
Right.
If they were, I've been happy. But absolutely. I expect them to actually just show up and do good. They showed up. They did good.
Yep.
They lost to a better team, and every single man there said, "We put forth the best effort. We just ran into a better team. Kudos to them. I tip my cap to them."
And that's the same thing the Warriors said after getting beat by the Rockets. Everybody wants to say, "Oh, the Warriors dynasty is over." Don't be stupid. Okay. Until a Western Conference team,
as we know it.
Yeah. Until a Western Conference team beats them in a playoff series, it ain't happening in 5 years. If you want it to end, do what the Raptors did. Beat them in a playoff series.
Oh, yes. Before we do end, I do have to get your take on this. So ESPN's Jay Williams.
Oh no.
ESPN Jay Williams.
Oh boy.
He looked at your Warriors, and he prognosticated, quote, "The Warriors will not make the playoffs this year."
I'm going home.
Close quote. And I will cede the floor to you and end that way.
Would you wait, whoa, timeout. He says, hold the phone, stop, penalty flag on the field. I'll invoke the words of one Al Michaels from a game in 2000 in Green Bay. And I think you know these 3 words quite well. He did what?
He did what?
He did. He said what?
I had to do a double take when I saw it.
So he doesn't expect these Warriors, who are going to play shorthanded the first half of the year and still win at least 50 games, and still make. He doesn't expect them to make the playoffs.
No.
This is why I drank my coffee early in the morning, so I can have enough strength to get me to this point. Jay Williams, I only have one question and one question only. Are you out of your rabbit-ass rat-picking mind?
I saw that, thought of you, and I was like, I've got to say this as soon as I talk to you. All right, my brother. I had to end with that. I'll catch you later, bro.
I'm bringing you back tomorrow with my response. I'll bring you Wednesday, because I got errands to run tomorrow, and I got a couple of things to do tomorrow. But if I should switch this show to the afternoon, you best believe you're one of my first guests. It's going to depend on timing.
Cool, bro. All right.
But we'll get it together, okay? We'll get it together. Thank you for that laugh.
All right, man.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Thank you, sir.
No problem. I figured you would need it, and you'd love it.
I appreciate that, bro. Thanks for coming on.
No problem, man. Thank you for the invite, bro.
I'll save my response for when I'm live again. We're presented by Those Cookies. Can't Stop Eating. Yum by Game Day Guide, providing the ticket essentials and the travel necessities to support your team while they play under the pressure of away games. There's no such thing as an away game with Game Day Guide. Catch the podcast every day at 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on all of your favorite apps, including iHeartRadio, including Google Podcasts, include what else? I don't have the reads in front of me. I apologize for that, folks. I'll do better when I come back next time. Until then, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I am, and I hope you all are too. Till next time, Snowman out.